Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles. I am Donnie, your host, and with me is a man that says the road to his heart is paved with biscuits and gravy.
Ooh, yes, sir. I love me some biscuits and gravy.
It's a southern thing, man.
You gotta have some biscuits and gravy, a little piece of sausage, liver mush, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
Bologna gravy.
Damn bologna gravy.
All right, what's going on, bud?
Oh man, not too much. Rain a little bit. Get in here. I thought we'd come in here. We got a big day today.
Yep, this is a very, very special episode.
Mm-hmm.
And
can't wait.
We are pleased to have on our show today, just a little bit of background. On episode 55 that we did, it was on Todd Kohlhepp. And he was the guy who went into the Superbike Motorsports down in Chesnee, South Carolina, and murdered 4 people down there, including Scott Ponder, the owner. And we are pleased to have on our show today the wife and widow of Scott Ponder, Melissa Ponder Brackman. And we really appreciate this.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Yep. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, this is Melissa. How are you?
Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Can you hear us okay?
I can. I was going to ask you, do you want me to do a video?
No, this is fine. This is fine if it's okay with you.
Okay, I just didn't know what would be best for you guys. So
Yeah, we just do mostly audio, so this works for
Okay.
us if it works for you.
Yep, we're
Okay.
not near as pretty as you, so
yeah, well, whatever.
We have a face for radio, so
Okay, well, good.
all right. Well,
I'm not crazy about my radio voice because I've heard it many times, but whatever.
yeah, it seems like everybody they don't like their own voice for some reason. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what
Right.
it is.
Yes, I agree.
Well, welcome to the show.
Okay, and tell me about your show a little bit. Tell me what you guys do.
We are a true crime podcast, and we're actually just located about 34 miles from Chesnee, South Carolina.
Wow. Okay.
So this is why it's local to us. We're
Right.
we're across the state line in North Carolina, Cleveland County.
Okay.
I'm sure you're probably aware of Cleveland County, Shelby.
Yeah, very much so.
So this is where we're at, and
Okay.
when all this went down, I followed this case from the beginning to where it's at now.
I'm sure.
So when we did this case on, I think it was episode 55. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, this back last year. I think November.
Yeah.
I think the anniversary of his incarceration or something like that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I was intrigued with this from the get go, and and your story too, and
Yeah.
what you've had to go through, and oftentimes us podcasters, we cover cases that we cover serial killers, murderers,
Right.
disappearances and things, and I'll be the first to admit we often neglect the victims and those affected by these crimes.
yeah, definitely.
I think that's human nature, though. I mean, that's like, yeah, you feel for them, but you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors with them.
Exactly.
No one really ever does.
And that's basically why we wanted to interview you, and we really, really appreciate it. And
Oh, yeah, no, it's no problem. Everybody's been so, if I had a different experience with all this, I might have, felt differently. But, for the most part, the media and just like all the people I've dealt with have been super, super good to me. And so, I've always been very forthcoming about all of it.
yeah, I've seen many interviews with you and read many interviews, and you're so upbeat and so. I don't know how.
Thank you.
I don't know how
I
you.
hope people see that because that really is me. That's not a show. That really is me. I'm a happy person, and yes, as hard as it was to regroup after this, that's just my personality, and I did not want somebody else taking that from me. So
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, just how resilient you were, and like you said, bounce back and.
well, it wasn't totally pretty, but but you know what?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it has been a very crazy life.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to know about our podcast? Anything? Because I know you host a podcast as well, and I've listened to a few episodes, and it's pretty good.
Oh, okay. I was actually listening to one of my own today, and I hadn't listened to it yet. I did this podcast like back in October, maybe November. It's with this group called Widow We Do Now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a widows group. And, you know, one of the ones that conducts all of the podcasts, she had come across just something that I had posted somewhere. And, you know, she's like, oh my gosh, I want to interview you. And what was supposed to be like a 30, 45-minute podcast ended up being like 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And she said, I had no idea when I asked you to come that there was all this stuff behind all this. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Like, oh, it's okay.
That's
So
cool.
funny.
Very cool. Yeah.
Just, but getting into, you know, like Todd Kohlhepp, I mean, have you ever heard of him before all this went down or know of him in any way?
Never.
Really?
That is not a name that I was familiar with at all. Just like, you know, when they first came in and started diving into this, they asked me, you know, are there any customers that got discussed that he was skeptical of or, you know, made him nervous? And I said, not at all. Like, we didn't. And he would tell me, you know, stuff that, like, if somebody weird came down there or he had, you know, like a weird exchange with somebody, or he would tell me about it and just kind of make light of it. But no, this guy was not on my radar at all.
Mm-hmm.
Although he should have been on law enforcement's radar. He should have been.
Right. Yeah, we were wondering, since they made him out to be like the big realtor and all, if he had like billboards around town or something like that, you know, or like those benches in front of the stores and that type of stuff, you know, if you
Right.
Yeah, we just didn't know if you'd, you know, seen him on anything like that, you know, being a realtor. So
Well, it's ironic because, and you guys probably, in, you know, studying up on this particular case, know that, first off, he's my age.
Mm-hmm.
He and was here in Arizona at the same time I was, and, you know, committed that rape and then served time. That was while I lived here, which is so weird because that's, you know, just so close.
Yeah, and then close here too. That's crazy.
That is so weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When he was at the shop, you know, it was reported that he, you know, Scott and Brian were like making fun of him, or
right.
You know, to me, I've heard many ways on this, and you know, to me, that was just shop talk.
Oh, for sure. In fact, I think when I kind of got the backstory with him and how he felt he was being treated, and then and you know, again, I'm not trying to knock whatever he was feeling at the time, but the thing is that whole environment was nothing but just like a big boy.
Of course.
Talk. It was a lot of messing around and a lot of joking and I mean, that's really all it was. And so people hung out down there because it was to get a feel for that. And even me, I mean, I loved being down there. It was fun. And so when I heard that was his reasoning and that's what was going on with him, I mean, honestly, it just took me back to all of my exchanges down there. And it was... That says a lot about him, though, and maybe his lack of maybe social etiquette and knowing, again, not making anything right or wrong, but just him not being able to, I don't know, maybe
he's just overly sensitive, sounds like.
That type of crowd.
Yeah. Right, yeah, because, you know, let's just, from factory work and that kind of stuff, you just used to busting each other's balls. It's just fun, you know.
Totally, and that is a motorcycle deal. That's honestly, that's a dealership mentality.
Right, yeah, it's just fun.
You know, that's sad to me that he wasn't able to
join in, really.
Enjoy that exchange.
Yeah, because most of the time, you know, if you're giving it, you can take it good as you can give it, and that's the whole part of it, you know.
For sure.
Yeah, because I know me and Dale here, we were talking off the air a little bit ago, you know, before you called, and, you know, it was like, want to trade a bike out that I couldn't handle. You know, if they give me a hard time, I'd say, hey, I'm a wimp. I can't handle it, you know.
You expect to get it. You know?
Give me one with training wheels.
Oh, no, honestly, I think they were only doing that for his benefit, not because he did. I mean, he ended up buying a very high-powered bike, and he wasn't a rider yet. And so, I mean, honestly, I don't think Scott wanted the liability if somebody were killed on a bike that they had no business being on.
Exactly. Now, do what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, I think that, you know, to me, it's so sad that here we are, you know, talking about this because of somebody's inability to know when somebody was being, funny.
Right.
And no, that's bad to me.
Very,
very
it's just
sad.
overly sensitive and just, I don't know. It's odd to me because I don't think that way.
Yep. Now, after this went down, Melissa, I know your current husband, he's in law enforcement, correct?
Right. He's a lieutenant for the sheriff's department out here.
Okay. What's his take on how law enforcement out here handled the case as far as detective work? When
as funny as it is, because him being married to me, you would think that he would be able to separate the two. And in some ways he is. But I will say he's never thrown them under the bus. And I think, that's law enforcement mentality. Like, I do feel in his heart, and truly in mine too, they wanted to solve this. This wasn't something they were, hey, let's sit on this for 13 years and then let's miraculously, in my heart, I don't feel that way. I feel like they wanted to solve this just as much as anyone else because they had this hanging over their head for a long time.
Yeah.
And it did not make them look very good. So again, even with all the mistakes that were made in this case, you can't tell me that anybody down there was purposely sitting on this, not wanting to, there's no way. Was there some shoddy detective work or police? Yes. And I do think that happens in every law enforcement agency, though.
Well, especially in a small community and something like this happened, I'm sure it was way over their head.
I think it was a little over their head.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
I mean, well, a little. It was a lot over their head. This wasn't something that they were used to.
Right.
And so, again, I don't want to knock them, but I will tell you, my husband, when they called and broke the news, he was crying not just for me, who was crying. He was actually crying for them as well. Mm. Like, he just thought, what a relief for this law enforcement agency that's, been all over the news and had so many bad things said about them. And he's like, this must be such a relief for them.
Yeah. And see, stuff like that's really cool because nobody would think like that. You know what I mean?
No.
The general public's not going to.
Because he could understand it.
Right.
He's done, missing people, sex crimes, drug enforcement. Like, he's done all of it. He's done homicides. He's done it all. And so, yeah, it was a big deal for him.
And too. I'm sure that's part of the brotherhood. You know how somebody feels, especially a missing person or that kind of thing. Just something that he said that you never solve, and it's just on and on and on.
Well, and that's the thing too. My husband worked for a much larger. We're like the second largest sheriff's department in the country. So it's a big one out here. It's right behind LA County, I think. But it's big. It's big.
So in the wake of their investigation, you went through a pretty hard time.
You went through some shit. Well, let's just break it down.
A little bit of hell.
Yes.
A little bit of hell.
Yeah.
That was a very, very tough experience for me. I thought truly burying Scott was the hardest thing I'd ever been through, but I'm going to tell you right now, the stuff I went through with, the mix-up of DNA and the accusations and that, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, that trumps burying Scott. That was so hurtful.
Yeah. And
some of the things that were a result of that are even, more so hurtful. There's things happen that, some people know about, some people don't, but, his grandmother died in the middle of that mix-up, a grandmother that I was super close to. She lived right across the street from the shop. My son, who's now 16, he was the only living descendant of Scott and then his grandmother. He was the only one left. And because when she died, she thought that wasn't her real great grandson, she left all of her property and family stuff to a sister she hadn't talked to for like 15 years.
Wow.
So she left it to her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And a whole nother side of the family that wasn't really part of that Ponder land and all that stuff, which, I'll be honest, out in the South, it seems like that's a really big deal. The family property, the family, and I get all that. That's, but that's not something I was willing to go in and fight for. I just, in my heart of hearts, I knew once she died, she knew the truth.
Right.
I knew she knew that. That was enough for me. I didn't need to prove anything to anybody. I mean, I had a few attorneys contact me and say, hey, this will, it's based off of false information. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's okay. I'm capable. My son will be provided for. It's not that.
Yeah, right.
We don't need, it's okay. Sister can look herself in the face and be okay with all this. I can too. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, boy, I learned a lot through that. I was treated pretty badly at her funeral because at the time nobody knew.
That's awful.
The truth. Scott's ex-wife was actually treated a lot better than I was.
Man.
It was like I was some stranger inside. It was really weird. It was just a weird time.
Yeah, and just to give a little backup on that, the story is they had the DNA samples were switched up, and they were accusing you of having an affair because they didn't think your son's DNA and your husband's DNA was the same, right?
Correct. That is what happened. The one of the other mitigating factors of that is how it all started in the first place is they had gotten a call that Scott was sterile and not even able to have kids. And that was a lead for them. And I'll be honest, that's partially true, practically sterile. That is true. And I had endometriosis. We had to have help from the doctor to get pregnant in the first place. So when that all went down and they were saying, hey, that's not his son, I'll be honest, I wasn't thinking not even a little bit that I was involved in this. I instead was thinking, oh my gosh, I got the wrong sperm.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That's what I was thinking. That's where I was going with it because I was freaked out. Like, well, whose baby is this? It's half mine, but who else is this? That's what I was thinking. And I'm like, I'm not giving this baby to anybody. This is my baby. But that's where I went with it. But, for them, they're thinking, well, she had an affair I got really nasty with them, which, hindsight, that was me just protecting myself. But when they accused me of that, I told them that I was done being forthcoming with them. I was done giving them everything. I had let them come into my home and tear it apart. Computers, our safes. I let him go through everything. Every card he ever sent me. I never made them get a warrant because there was no reason. I had nothing to hide from them. And so I let him come in and tear up my house. I didn't really care. I just wanted them to find out who had done this.
Right.
And so, that was just such a slap in the face to me because I thought, wow, I have literally given them everything and they turn around and do this to me. I was actually on my way to have his body exhumed.
Mm-hmm.
When I got a call from them, I was going to get a court order to have his body exhumed so that we could conduct a private DNA test because again, I could not believe it. And so the sheriff's department called me and said, don't do that yet. There's something that's just something's not adding up here. We need to figure out what's going on. And that's kind of how they stopped me from having his body exhumed. But yeah, the way they figured it out is, they did a DNA test with Scott's mother and him between their two DNAs, and it did not match up. And so they did one with the other two people, Brian and Chris, who were also there. And when Brian's DNA matched up with Scott's mother, they realized they had mislabeled just the blood at the coroner's office.
So by this time, you're a victim on both sides because you've lost
gosh,
him, and now you got everybody in the community looking at you sideways.
Well, and I mean, I have to say, I tactfully retaliated a little bit because I have a good relationship with the news out there. I've built friendships with a lot of the people out there. They're some of my good friends now. And I called one of them, I called Amy Wood, Channel 7, and just let her know, like, hey, this is what went down. And they actually ran that as a top news story. And the sheriff's department ended up apologizing to me on the news.
Well, they should have.
Exactly.
Well, I just felt like that was the only way to clear everything up because I didn't want people thinking that.
Right.
That's the last thing I wanted anybody to think. When he died, our marriage was very intact. We were very in love. We were newly pregnant. I mean, that was hard. So that was a very hard thing.
The photo that they had with you and his friend or whatever on the back porch,
right.
Did they find out when they was going through your house? Is that how that came up?
I don't even know where that came from. It seems like they might have been out in the bushes. And we were like on the back deck talking, which would not have been abnormal. Daniel came over a lot. He was one of Scott's good friends, and
right.
he's from Switzerland, I want to say, and not anybody that would ever be of my interest, to be nice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But when they showed me that picture, I just started laughing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding, right?
So between, really? I guess between the photo and the call from the ex-wife or whatever, that's what set them in that direction?
That is what, that's what made me a suspect, yes.
Mm-hmm. And you thought they were calling you back into the law enforcement center just to say, hey, we found a lead on this, but
I was, yep.
Blindside.
Honestly, why I went back in there, and I was actually kind of nervous, getting in there like, oh my gosh, they might know who did this. I'm going to find out, and that is not at all what I was expecting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really crazy. It changed my relationship with them tremendously.
Oh, I'm sure. I am sure.
I didn't cut them off after all was said and done. No, I didn't sue them. Yes, I could have. I had attorneys contact me about that. I'm like, no, I don't want to. I just want this solved. I don't want to cut off my relationship with them. I don't want their money. I just want this solved.
Absolutely. So it's like 13 years passed by. Did law enforcement, how often were they in touch with you, over those?
I would say about yearly, and it was usually just around the anniversary, like, hey, we're thinking of you. And so like when that 13-year one rolled around, it wasn't surprising to me that I was hearing from somebody, just, I would say probably the last 6 or 7 years, it was just kind of a few and far between, like a little text message here or a phone call, like, how are you doing? That's really kind of what it kind of boiled down to at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so nothing too crazy.
So you weren't expecting anything then? It was just,
No.
Just
oh, no.
Yeah.
I was watching the Kayla Brown thing unfold on TV from Arizona. I knew that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a little bit did I think it had anything to do with me, though. I was watching it like days before I got the phone call, and I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, that poor girl, out here. And that's really all I was thinking. I'm like, that's crazy that's right there, in my old area.
Yeah.
And just, it didn't even dawn on me at all.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know.
So the first time,
how it all came together.
The first time you saw Kohlhepp was on the news, wasn't it?
Correct. Yes.
What were your?
I pulled him up and actually screenshot his mugshot, because my son was at a friend's house that night, and I wanted to go sit down with him and talk to him after they had told me what was going on. I wanted to break it to him before he heard it from anybody else.
Wow. I can't even.
You give me chills.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Actually, I have a picture. It's crazy of me. Somebody took a picture from behind. I have my arm around him, and I'm showing him the picture. Just kind of, it's pretty crazy. The ironic thing about that particular day, he was in art. He was in junior high at the time, and he was in art, and the teacher had asked him to draw a picture representing his life with just a bunch of abstract things on this picture. And so he drew pictures of news cameras on there. He drew pictures of this angel looking figure, said that was his dad, looking over him, the news cameras, because we'd done so many news interviews. There was some dollar signs in that. And then he had the number. Oh, and then he had pictures of faces poking and peeking at us. People just kind of watching us all the time,
Right.
And then he had the numbers 113 written on this. And so I asked him, and this was before any of this went down, I asked him, what does 113 represent? And he said, oh, I don't know. I was just literally filling in space, and that's the number that came to mind. And so I posted that on Facebook one day, and this was after it was solved. And somebody messaged me and said, Kayla Brown was found on 11-3. And I thought, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's something that gave me the chills, actually, because he had no idea why he put that there. He said, I'm just filling in space. And when somebody pointed that out, I thought, that makes all the sense in the world.
Wow.
I know, as crazy as that is, but I think that sometimes, that's little bits of our intuition coming out. and telling us things that may not make sense to us, but that was his little thing.
Yeah, you literally gave us cold chills over here. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
I know.
Now, you're talking about Kayla Brown.
Right.
And there was an interview you gave a while back about the reward money.
Right.
You know, she basically solved this case for them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't like great detective work or anything, solving our crime. Now, maybe finding her, yes.
Did she ever receive that reward money that you know of?
Yes, they gave it to her.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd never been able to find that anywhere. I didn't know she'd got that.
They did. She was given that. Yes, she was given that reward money. And, you know, again, whether or not, you know, because there's some people that were kind of vocal and didn't agree with that. And I just thought, you know, I mean, I'm of the belief, I don't care what you've done in your past. I don't care what led you to where you are. I feel like, you know, everybody makes bad decisions. We all sometimes suffer more for them than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, you know, again, because she was found alive, I felt like she needed it.
Well, really, I mean, you know, 2 months in a metal container in summer in South Carolina, not to mention everything else that happened, you know.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's so many conspiracy theories out there about how, you know, she helped him. She was helping. Like, I've heard it all. And part of me is just like, you know, no matter what went down, she was found alive.
Yes.
Because of that, I have my answers.
That's right. And nothing else really matters.
Had she not ever been found, I would still be in the dark.
That's right.
Yeah.
He'd still be doing whatever he's doing.
And that's how I look at that entire thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, you were here just recently. I think it was 2019 out here for the wrongful death suit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. I've seen videos, and you were so emotional in the courtroom. I can't even imagine.
I was way more emotional actually than I thought I was going to be. I had, we come out about twice a year. And, so that was just gave us a good reason to be there. But, yeah, I had kind of been waiting for that moment where I could sit in front of him and actually address him. But before I did that, I wanted to make sure that I knew that I had all my information. I wanted to make sure I had his background, that I had everything I could know about him. And that involved like reading through his psychological evaluations as a child, after he was arrested out here in Arizona. I went through a lot of research, and I wanted to kind of form what I was going to say to him just off of that. And so I put my thoughts together after reading his background and all the stuff he went through. And, you know, it really, really changed the way I was going to approach him. And I will never, ever, ever condone anybody taking another's life. There's no excuse. I don't care who you are, what has happened to you. There's just no reason for that. Mm-hmm. Now, but just after seeing some of the terrible childhood that he had, he was discarded by his own mother. You know, she moved around with a lot of different men in her life, sent to his grandfather's, was locked up in a behavioral health facility at I want to say it was 9 years old. Nobody visited him. I mean, there was just so much in his history. And again, while I don't condone and will never what he did and what he took from me, I see where his mentality came from. Yeah. I see why he didn't have just that peace in his heart that a lot of us do have, and that he had no regard for just a lot of, human emotion. It just, I could feel it, and I could, and so, I wrote my little thing out, and when I got in front of him, this is going to sound so weird, I just wanted to hug him and say, I am so sorry for everything that you went through, because no child and person should go through something like that. It doesn't excuse that you took the father of my child and the grandmother of my son away.
Yeah.
But I'm so sorry that you went through what you went through, and that you really, it seemed like never have had like an unconditional love in your life. And that's sad to me. That's so sad.
And that was very classy on your part. I mean, I've watched that, and I'm like, Melissa's got a heart of gold to be able to look at her husband's killer sitting right across from her, and to look at him and forgive him of something like that. You know, because I can see so many people, you know, wanting the death penalty, wanting to, you know,
just holding on to the rage.
Yeah, the rage.
Yeah.
But you seem to have let that go.
Oh, I had to, because had I not, I'm raising a son, and I don't want him to think this world is a terrible place to be, because even with all the crap, there are so many beautiful things about life in general. And I felt like I think that's one of the reasons Scott was attracted to me in the first place, is because I do have a really positive outlook on life. I like waking up every morning. I like seeing what the day's going to bring me. I like feeling, I mean, right now I teach 6th grade social studies. I love going in. I love seeing those kids. I love, you know, and the more you hang on to hatred towards somebody, I feel like it affects your physical appearance. It affects your inner appearance. That comes out, and I'm just not willing.
Yeah. And I'm sure seeing Scotty every day would would build on that. You know, some, you know, how do I want to act in front of my kid? How do I want to show my kid the proper road to take?
He was the one that was most vocal about the death penalty. He said, I don't want to pursue the death penalty with him, Mom. I said, okay, why? And he just kept saying, well, just enough people have died here. Why are we going to kill somebody else?
And that's
I said, okay, I agree. I said, I love your thinking, and I'm happy that you feel that way, because that's how I would want you to feel. I think that's how your dad would feel.
Yeah.
Good kid.
I mean, I really do. I truly think that, you know, me forgiving him and apologizing for whatever he felt like, I think that's definitely what Scott would have wanted from me.
Yeah.
I really feel that way.
Sounds like you've done an amazing job with your son, too.
I'm trying. He's 16. It's kind of a crazy time right now.
It's fixing to be some trying years, I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Well, you know what? He's a good kid, and I cannot complain where, you know, some parents might be dealing with, you know, I don't know, drugs or bad grades or whatever. I am not dealing with that at all.
Great.
No, I'm dealing with the normal teenage boy, don't talk that way to me. Say you're sorry. No, don't act like you're entitled. You're not.
Just because you're taller than me.
That's the only thing I really deal with.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He is a really good kid. And, you know, the nice thing is he looks so much like him now. It's crazy. He didn't when he was little, but the older he gets now, it's almost like looking at him. It's a mirror image. It's crazy.
And he probably sounds like Scott, too.
He does, and he has it. Yeah, he does. And it's funny, like, he'll be just sitting, like, with some shorts on with his legs crossed, and I swear if I didn't look up and look at his face, I'd think I was looking at his dad.
Wow.
It's just funny. Like, he's built like him. He's tall. He's thin. He can eat, 40,000 calories in a day, and it doesn't affect his stomach. I don't know. He's just him. He's him all over again, and it's funny.
Now, last year, I think it was in August, some of Kohlhepp's belongings went on auction. And,
right.
And they said the proceeds went to some of the victims and families. Did you get any of that? Or were you able to?
You know what? We're actually still waiting. We got one cut of some of it, and we're still waiting on the remainder. And I do think that some of it might be, I don't know if it's tied up in litigation. I don't know. I've never been of the mindset that, ooh, we're expecting all this money. My mentality with all of that was I just didn't want him to be able to dictate where any of his money went.
Right.
And that's all. That was just the thing. I would rather have it, we could have donated it to whoever. I don't care. But And I had even said, if I end up with a $5 check, I will run to McDonald's and grab a Coke and call it good and say, we won,
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Money's not a driving force for me. It causes a lot of problems.
Right.
I've found out through the years. And so, it was really just about that, making sure that money didn't go to him or anybody that he dictated.
Exactly. And it did help some of the, some of these victims and families.
Oh, yes. No, I mean, I know Caleb Brown got a pretty large lump up front, and then the rest of it was just split between the rest of us. And like I said, we're actually still waiting on our second disbursement, and I have no idea when that will come. And, again, it wasn't like a huge sum. It's not a life-changing sum. I want to say, like, both my son and I each got like around maybe like an $8,000 check the first. And he, and I told him, Scotty, I said, look, I actually want you to take this and do whatever you want with it. I'll put it in the bank. It has to go through me, obviously, but, I want you to do what you want with this. So he, as a teenage boy would, he went and got the most recent Apple iPhone. I don't know what he paid for. It was like $1,200. It was something crazy, which I'm like, of course you did. And then his high school sponsors these overseas trips every year. And he wanted to go, which he would have gone this March, but they postponed it a year till next year because of COVID. But next year, and he's completely paid for it already, he's going to London, Barcelona, and Paris on a school-sponsored trip for like 10 days next spring break.
Awesome.
And so I actually was impressed that that's something that he wanted to do with it. So he put in some money, and then my husband and I actually paid for the other half. And then he had quite a bit of money left over even after that. And I just said, this is just for you. You need to talk to me first. And then if I feel like this is an okay thing, then yeah. But, like I said, it wasn't life-changing money. Yes, it's going to give him an opportunity to do something that's pretty cool.
Yes. Something
I'll
never forget.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. I really do.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything, Melissa, you want to add to all this? Because, I mean, like we said, we can't imagine the ordeal you went through from the time of Scott's murder up till, just a couple of years ago. I mean, it had to be so many ups and downs.
Oh, tons. I think that, again, like we talked about, you don't really see how somebody's life changes. You initially see the sadness. Like, for instance, on the news, you see some poor soul who has lost somebody to a drunk driver, or even a murder, and you sit there and you think, oh, that poor soul or that poor family. You really don't know how much their life has changed overnight. I mean, in the blink of an eye. You don't think about all of the things that have gone down behind their closed door, and some of it is so devastating that you can't. I mean, it's sometimes it's just like hard to bring to words. But I lost somebody that I was completely in love with. I really, really thought I was going to be in Chesnee for the rest of my life. I was going to die there, and I was going to raise my kids there, and it changed. I mean, it changed everything for me. I have no sad feelings at all towards the South. I love it. We really do. We try to come out there every chance we get. Yeah. We really do. My son is so drawn to the South. I will not be surprised if he attends college out there. I won't. He finds reasons to come out there. I just sent him a couple of weeks before Christmas, actually, this past year. We were there in October for a week. We went out there, and I took my boys to Savannah, where Scott had proposed to me, and we stayed in a bed and breakfast out there. And then, we went to the Biltmore house because Scott and I had spent like a New Year's Eve there. Like, I just went and toured them around and showed them all this, fun stuff and did. And then while we were there, he said, I really want to come back. And so I made arrangements so that he could go back and just stay with all of our friends for like 5 days, I want to say, a couple of weeks before Christmas, maybe it was a week before Christmas, and they just wined and dined him out there. He's like their little celebrity out there. So he loves it. He will probably be out there again this summer. That's I think where he feels, I don't know, he just feels at home out there.
We should.
And I love that, and I don't want him to not, because I love that for him.
Yeah. So I guess your family relations, with like the grandmother and all that, I guess everything's kind of repaired now after all that.
Well,
mess, or no?
I mean, I've never, like, his grandmother passed away.
Right.
I don't have a relationship with the sister that she left the money with. I had sent her a few Christmas cards in the beginning. I didn't want her to think I had anything against her, because I don't.
Right.
I'm still, totally in contact with Beverly's husband, who you guys probably know was not Scott's father.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole nother podcast. And so, yes, I mean, like we see them. And then also, it's funny. I mean, there's just really close family friends that are out there that we just consider our family. I mean, there's people out there that they're some of my closest friends.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, we love it.
I know when me and Dale were talking, I guess his biggest question was, has that, family relationship been repaired since everything's been solved and everything's been taken care of? Has it been, repaired? I guess
it's funny that because there were even a couple of relatives that I think at the time really did think I had something to do with this and didn't know what to think. And I've discussed this before. This is like criminal justice 101. You do start with the wife. Let's be honest.
Right. Absolutely.
And you start in that close inner circle and you move your way out. And
yep.
I know that, and I never even had a problem with that. It was okay with me that that's where they started.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted them to get over me and then finally get out there and find who it was. And unfortunately, I feel like there was a lot of wasted time.
A lot of wasted time on you, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally, which killed some probably really, really important time during that, that whole scenario. And so, but you know what? Yes, we have prepared that. Like I said, there was a couple of family members that thought, and that's all gone. I mean, I have no ill will towards any of them, because had I been in a different situation and I was looking in on that, wondering maybe I would have felt the same way about me. I don't know.
Yeah, the way they twisted it,
I don't relish in it. I'm not concentrating on it. It's just I refuse to let any of this dictate my daily life. I won't.
We can tell you're a special kind of person, just the way you think. I mean, really.
You're nice.
There's a lot of people would not let stuff like that go, and they would just let it eat them up.
I kind of preach that even to the people that have some of the most bitter of hearts. I tell them, don't let this dictate your life, because you're the only person that you're killing it. Don't do it.
Right.
Like, you're giving them so much power over you, and you have to stop.
People can't. Some people don't understand that,
No, I agree. My life. It was life-changing for me to look at him and tell him that I didn't hold anything against him and that I was sorry, for whatever he felt, and that his behavior and his actions pretty much are going to dictate what happens to him for the rest of his life. I don't need to do that.
So what was his reaction when you did that?
You know what? When I walked by, he put his head down, and I think that he looked at me very intently while I was talking to him. I mean, we locked eyes a lot. And I think that's why I was so emotional, is because I was just looking at this poor, soulless man who almost didn't know how to feel,
Right.
And that's the part that just made me so sad. Somebody that doesn't know how to feel, doesn't have those normal human emotions, that's a sad, sad thing for me. Missing out on so much.
Yeah, I'm sure he was taken aback by that, because I'm sure he was not expecting that at all.
Well, I kind of wanted to catch him off guard.
I'm sure you
I
did.
didn't want to go up there and say, I hate you and you're a scumbag and I hope you burn in hell. And because there are some people that feel that way, and I'm okay with them feeling that way. That's just not the way I feel. Someday, and and maybe you'll be surprised by this someday. I don't know, maybe not. Lorraine Lucas and we have talked about going to see him someday.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure when that'll be. I mean, we've kind of, just discussed it a little bit, and really just to check in on him, and we'll see. I mean, that's something we have talked about.
I can't imagine. Yeah, you have floored me so many times today, telling me stuff that I'm
not trying to. I'm being truthful.
No, but I mean seriously, the things you've done and the grace you've shown, and
I'd say be the bigger person. You're definitely
you definitely took the high road, Melissa.
Yeah.
Definitely took the high road.
I appreciate that, and I'm glad that people. I didn't do it, for any type of praise or any type of. It's just the best way I was taught. And,
yeah.
I grew up with some pretty amazing parents, and I just was taught you forgive people.
Yeah.
That have hurt you, and who knew I would be hurt this, tragically, but yeah, I was taught forgive, and that really the only person that can pass judgment, it's not me. And so I have to forgive and move on.
Yep, that's the only way you can find peace. That's for sure.
I agree with you.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So anybody that is affected or hears any part of this, I'm telling you right now, it's forgiving other people.
Yeah.
Forgiving somebody that's hurt you, and that just frees up so much of your life.
It's good words to live by.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Melissa, we certainly appreciate you being on our show, listening to it.
Oh, for sure. I thank you. Like I said, I'm always honored when anybody's even interested. Like kind of old news, but I love talking about Scott. I love talking about my son.
Yep.
I'm very vocal, and I have a lot of support here about that, and it's all a good situation.
It's really cool to get the other side of the story. You just don't get that very much. So we're really appreciative you come on in and give us a lot of.
I like seeing the happy ending.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Well, the next time you guys are out, holler at us. We'd love to meet you.
Okay, sounds great. It'll probably be this year.
All right, sounds good, Melissa. And thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Oh man, that was great, wasn't it?
Yep. Melissa, she was awesome.
Yeah, we can't thank her enough for coming on here.
Yeah.
Just agreeing to come on here was amazing. But man, that was just an amazing interview.
Her attitude and her spunk that she has, and the peace that she has gained over this.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just floored. I'm still amazed by her
top notch.
Yep, resilience to bounce back, and her son too.
Yep.
Hats off to them.
Hats off.
Yep.
Big hats.
Thank you again, Melissa.
Thank you.
And if anybody gets a chance, go check out her podcast. It's Widow We Do Now. Go check it out.
Yes.
All right, Dale. We are going to get out of here.
Yep, let's go, man.
We want everyone to be safe, be careful, and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is
the Crack House Chronicles.